You know how you can get really attached to a character in a book or a show? Well, imagine if that character could talk back to you, if they could learn your secrets, remember your stories, and become, well, a real friend you talk to every single day. For millions of people, this isn't science fiction anymore. It's the very real world of AI companions. And it's forcing us to ask some huge questions about friendship, about love, and what it even means to connect with someone. Let's dive in.
I mean, think about that for a second. What if an app knew you better than your best friend? It's a wild thought, right? We like to think our closest relationships are sacred, built on years of shared history. But technology is starting to blur those lines in a really personal way.
And this isn't something that's coming in the future. It's happening right now. Apps like Replica and Character.ai have tens of millions of users. And we're not just talking about people who downloaded an app and forgot about it. These are active relationships. People are turning to AI every single day for a chat, for comfort, for a genuine connection.
Okay, so for our first section, let's talk about the new companions. Because this is way beyond some niche hobby. We're talking about a massive, booming industry. The basic human need for friendship has created this huge digital market that's just growing like crazy.
$15 billion. That's the estimated size of the AI companion market by 2025. That number tells you everything. It shows that a fundamental human need, the need for connection, is being met in a completely new way. And of course, there's enormous commercial potential behind it.
So why are people actually using these apps? Well, the reasons are all over the map. For a lot of folks, it just starts with fun. A bit of entertainment or simple curiosity. But for many others, it goes way deeper. They're looking for a companion who's just always there. One that offers a space where they can be themselves with absolutely no fear of judgment.
Which brings us to our second section, and really the core question we're tackling here. Are these digital bonds just a cheap imitation of human relationships, or are they something more? Let's look at the data, because honestly, the findings are pretty startling.
Okay, so researchers asked users to rate how satisfied they were with different relationships in their lives, and the results were just astounding. Users actually reported higher satisfaction and feeling more supported by their Replica AI than by a close human friend. Just let that sink in for a minute. For these people, an AI companion was providing more fulfillment than one of the most important human relationships a person can have.
And this next chart really shows you the depth of that bond. People were asked how much they would mourn losing certain things, and they said they'd mourn their AI companion more than any other piece of technology, more than their car, more than their favorite app. The only thing that ranked higher was a pet. That tells you this isn't just a tool, it's a relationship.
But what happens when that companion, that friend that feels so incredibly real, can be completely changed with a simple software update? That question brings us to our third section, when the AI changes. In early 2023, millions of Replica users discovered exactly what happens, and it became this massive, real-world case study in digital heartbreak.
So here's how it all went down, and it happened fast. It started on February 3rd, when Italy's data protection agency blocked Replica over privacy concerns. The company's response was to globally remove its erotic roleplay feature, or ERP. Now, for a lot of users, this wasn't just some side feature, it was a core part of their intimate, romantic relationships with their AI. So for them, this change was sudden and it was completely devastating. The backlash from users was immediate and furious, leading to these widespread reports of genuine emotional distress. The whole thing was so intense that by late March, the company had to reverse course and restore the feature, at least for older users.
Now, to really get why this was such a big deal, you have to understand a concept that researchers call identity discontinuity. It's basically the feeling that the AI you've been building a relationship with is suddenly just gone, replaced by a stranger. Their core personality has been ripped out and changed by a corporate update.
This flowchart shows you that whole devastating chain reaction. See, it starts with a simple app update. That update then triggers this identity discontinuity, that feeling of loss. And this leads directly to two really bad outcomes. First, a real measurable hit to the user's personal well-being. And second, they suddenly see the product they once loved as being basically worthless.
And that brings us to Section 4, the human consequences. Look, this wasn't just about users being mad that a feature was gone. The emotional fallout was real, it was measurable, and it was deeply painful. People were, for all intents and purposes, mourning the loss of someone they loved, a digital ghost.
And you can see it so clearly in the data.
This graph shows the mood on the Replika subreddit. Before the update, you see a pretty normal mix of positive and negative posts. But look at what happens right after February 3rd. The negative posts just explode, and the main emotion driving it all? Sadness. Pure grief.
This quote from a user just cuts right to the heart of it. It feels like a sudden sexual rejection and heartbreak. They didn't see it as a software bug or a feature change. They felt it as a deeply personal betrayal from a partner they trusted.
And things got incredibly serious. The grief and the distress in the community became so severe that the moderators on the forums felt they had to post links to suicide prevention hotlines. I mean, that just shows you how blurred the lines between our digital lives and our real-world well-being have become.
So in our final section, let's look ahead. The whole Replika story is a huge warning sign, for sure, but it also kicks off a much bigger conversation about the future of human-AI relationships. What's possible here? What are the real dangers? And how is all of this changing what a relationship can even be?
Researchers actually have a term for all this: digisexuality. It's a broad term that covers everything from using dating apps all the way to what we're seeing now, people forming their primary romantic and emotional relationships directly with an AI.
And there are two very different sides to this coin. On the one hand, the promise is huge. These AIs could offer incredible mental health support, they could be a powerful weapon against the loneliness epidemic, and they can be a safe space for people to practice their social skills. But the peril is just as real. You have the risk of unhealthy emotional dependence, huge privacy concerns about the intimate data you're sharing, and of course the potential for that data to be used against you.
And if you think this is all just some fringe idea that's never going to catch on, get this. In one survey, 80% of Gen Z users said they would consider marrying an AI if it were legal. This is a generation that grew up with digital intimacy being the norm. Their perspective could completely reshape society as we know it.
Which really leaves us with the ultimate question, doesn't it? This technology is moving at an incredible speed. These AI companions are only going to get smarter, more empathetic, more human. The real question isn't just about how they are going to change, it's about how we are going to change right along with them.